some Republicans are now, they're saying, open to considering a proposal from Democrats to ban just bump stocks, but many lawmakers are unclear even what they are or how to legislate them. Here to weigh in, attorney Emily Compagno and political analyst Kirsten Haglund. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, Kirsten, I want to start with you on this one because that's the hard part. We're starting to understand now what a bump stock is, but at the same time, we don't exactly know if it would be an effective reason to legislate against them. What should Republicans do when most Republicans, even Steve Scalise, say if people wanted more gun control in this country, we'd have a different makeup in Congress. And right now, most leaders in Congress still say, on the Republican side, people should be allowed to carry weapons for sport, for shooting, for activity.
Right. Well, actually, gun control laws are the most unpopular that they've been in this country, polling-wise, in the last 20 to 30 years or so. So Rep. Scalise is right in that regard. However, there is a lot of popular momentum around, doing something against this kind of action. And actually, the Republicans really have had a gift handed to them in this issue of the bump stock because a lot of them, especially the moderate coalition of Republicans in Congress, agree that there really is no real purpose for these and that it's something that they could give to say, hey, to their constituents, I've done something on gun control. Also, it's really interesting to see what the Democrats have proposed in light of this most recent shooting, because before it's been, very broad actions, as we saw in 2012 with the expansion of background checks after the Sandy Hook shooting. Now it's just more of an incremental measure with this banning of the bump stock. So I think what you will see here is probably a coming together of Democrats and Republicans about this, such it is an incremental measure. But also the NRA has yet to weigh in on this specific piece of legislation. Mm-hmm. And we know that this policy this thing takes a long time. So expect a lot more public comment on this before
by the
it
way,
gets passed.
We just heard in from that reporter's story that the gun shop owner said, these really weren't selling. So there's not if NAR members are really, trying to get bump stocks, they think it's fun, then they'd be buying them, and they're just not, Emily. And then there's the legal side of this as well, because, federal law in 1986 banned the use of fully automatic weapons. This bump stock makes a semi-automatic fully automatic. Isn't that maybe the legal argument that they can use to legislate this and ban this particular piece of the gun?
Right, that is an effective argument. And interestingly, bump stocks are relatively new. They've only been around in the past decade. And in 2010, one of the gun manufacturers that makes it actually sent an inquiry to the ATF asking and requesting about legality approval. The ATF returned that actually this is not subject to the National Firearms Act or the Gun Control Act because it is, in fact, an accessory. So a lot of the dialogue that we've been hearing in the past over legislation with gun control, it really hasn't applied to this because of its accessorial effect. Now, as Kirsten pointed out, there have been broad legislation measures that have included it, but now, given the narrowly tailored aspect, it might actually pass. But here, there's always going to be the Second Amendment argument that whether or not it's an accessory, I still have a right to it. However, given that it is this ancillary component, that will probably lend itself to more bipartisan support and dilute that legal argument.
Because, Kirsten, that's the thing. Again, these aren't big sellers. If they were popular, people were using them on farms for target practice. That's one thing. But, Kirsten, they're not. That seems to me to make it easier for Republicans to get on board with this legislation.
Absolutely. And, I think that Republicans are very sensitive right now to the climate, how they're perceived, right? And everyone has been able to look at Washington for the last several months, especially Republicans being in charge of all three branches of government, and don't have a lot to point to insofar as crowd pleasers are concerned with legislation. Haven't been able to do health care, tax reform, et cetera. So this is something where they could all work together and say, we are actually responding to this and potentially save lives. I mean, let's not forget, 59 people were killed because of this.
Well, 59 was the gunman. We're not counting him, Kirsten. But really quick, Emily, before I let you go, do you think that this can pass the legal muster to ban this particular part of the gun?
I do.
Yes,
if it retains that, if it retains that incremental aspect, yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes.
I think a lot of people are so saddened by what they've seen happen this week that this is a conversation we're having now, and it's going to continue. Emily, Kirsten, I wish I had more time with you guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you.
All right.